Okay, so look, we've had this budget. It's been as boring as hell, unlike Roger Gould, who has advised plenty of people and is indeed a geopolitics and a geoeconomics trend expert. Roger, are you bored?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
No.
Good, because you couldn't hear me before.
When you weren't on.
Yeah, I'm beyond bored with the budget. I'm beyond bored with the budget. I've lost all hope for Jeremy Hunt and Rishi Sunak.
Did you have any hope?
I believe, frankly, that by-elections are like fingers. If you lose one, it's not fatal. But if you keep losing them, you might want to question the line of work you're in, yeah?
And you lose grip. You lose grip, don't you, if you lose your fingers?
You do. You lose grip. I mean, I think that what my personal view, and I've said this on I don't know how many different outlets in the last day, is that George Galloway, my personal view, as I've been saying for over a year, that the Tories are building up a monumental war chest through grotesque taxation and gaslighting us how wonderful it is while they have their hands in our pockets.
Yeah.
In order to make massive tax cuts before a general election. I thought that they might do that now, although I thought that it's a little early for that play. But I have been saying that I feel that Galloway winning has given them a bit of a boost of confidence. So they thought they could get away with more bull you-know-what another time. And they pulled the national insurance thing again and told us how wonderful they're doing, when in fact, a teenager could work out that a bloke earning 17 grand a year is actually paying 47 pounds and 29 pence more in tax today per month than he was yesterday.
Yeah, well, they're gaslit us, haven't they? They've sort of said we're going to lower tax, and they didn't lower tax. They got rid of national insurance 2%.
Never, and they just keep raising
the fiscal drag is what's going to catch people out, and it's a load of bullshit, isn't it? That we're actually worse off in tax, and we were as worse since the Second World War, and now it's terrible.
We've been worse off with every move that they've made. I mean, Jeremy Hunt has never worked 24 hours in his life in any financial business, any business that had to do with money or finance or banking or whatever. Can you imagine showing up with a CV like that and applying for a job?
Roger, he's not top of the...
I'm going to give you this whole country to run.
Yeah.
I won't let you run the bank, but you can run the country.
But Roger, he's not top of the list. We've got a governor of the Bank of England who doesn't understand banking or money.
He failed at the FCA.
We have the governor of the Bank of England with a track record not to be admired, to put it at its highest, British understatement. We have my friend Alex Brummer, the long-time, highly respected city editor of the Mail, who said, and I've got it on film in an exclusive interview with me, that Andrew Bailey is not an economist and does not have, and I quote, the intellectual capacity to be in that job. And he has made, together with Hunt and Rishi before him, more of a mess of British monetary and fiscal policy than anybody since Robin Hood.
Isn't Rishi still in control, though, really?
Well, Rishi's the one who understands finance. You're absolutely right, from his Goldman Sachs days. So, of course, he's in control. But, I mean, the two of them, Rishi, I just think, is terribly weak, and they're just standing there letting.
No, the problem you've got. Andrew Bailey doesn't understand banking, even though he's the governor of the Bank of England, and Rishi Sunak doesn't understand politics, even though he's the prime minister.
So being poor.
Yeah. So if you look at Rishi Sunak managed to fluff the meeting with the Greek prime minister, because you know what the Greek prime minister does before he meets the British prime minister. Complains about the Elgin marbles, and then Rishi Sunak.
He lost the game of marbles.
Rishi Sunak does what no sensible person would do. He goes, "I'm not willing to meet the Greek Prime Minister unless he stops moaning about the Elgin marbles." Well, when's that going to happen?
Never.
Right, he will never meet him. It was just utterly ludicrous. But of course, in the case of Andrew Bailey, what people don't understand is that this is a man who's professionally failed at every challenge he's ever faced in his life, apart from rising up the greasy pole. I mean, what he did at the Financial Conduct Authority was that he investors that lost millions and millions and millions of pounds on his watch. He basically just said, "Hey ho, it's not my fault." He sat in front of the Treasury Select Committee and said he didn't know how to control inflation. Well, I think we're all agreed.
And then they promoted him. Before that, they promoted him when he failed at the FCA to Bank of England.
I mean, look, the biggest story, and I want to give Richard Tice, the leader of Reform, credit for this. The biggest story, which I released last night on one of our major radio network. Can I say that, the name?
No.
You can call it the other place.
No, it's one of the other places, but it's a major radio network. I released it last night. It's all over the place today. Is the fact that because we don't have tax cuts, because we don't have money, we're broke. We can't afford it. Richard Tice has pointed out to me, and it has been seconded by 3 or 4 major leading economists who've said the same thing, that we are actually in the uniquely stupid position, again, Andrew Bailey, of paying almost 40 billion pounds per year from one government department to the other, from the Bank of England to the Treasury, from them to the banks, enriching the bankers even more. 40 billion pounds in interest on the quantitative easing, in other words, the money printing that was done to, staggering amounts, which was like pouring oil from an airborne tanker onto a Californian forest fire. We're now paying the interest at these higher rates.
Yeah.
Switzerland.
We could have paid it earlier, couldn't we, as well?
Let me finish, please. Switzerland doesn't do that, Ash.
No.
The European Central Bank doesn't do it. We're one of the few countries in the world engaged in this fantasy of paying interest to ourselves from one pocket to the other. And the government is counting that as one of the debts that we have, why we can't afford. What would it cost to raise the threshold? Forget this national insurance BS, which actually costs money. What would it cost to raise the threshold from 12,570 quid to 20 grand to help pensioners and all the lower earners not fall into the tax net? 40 billion pounds. We could do it tomorrow. Sunak knows that. Hunt knows that. Bailey knows that. I'm exposing this. We are being lied to. You will see on my Twitter feed a picture of Jeremy Hunt with the caption "liar" above his head. I'm sick of it.
Absolutely, and I think the other amazing thing about the budget was people are really struggling. So what we've done is done a cut in capital gains tax for people selling second homes. Well,
on the higher tax rate.
I mean, that's fantastic, isn't it?
And a boost to initial public offerings, and all sorts of things to benefit those people they care about, because they basically think the people who earn £12,570 don't really matter. They don't count. They ain't going to vote for them anyway. And I mean,
well, the good thing is, Roger, of course, that nobody's going to vote for them in the next election. No. So I mean, it's going to be relatively easy.
I'm not so sure. Sunak has made the public statement: if you don't vote for me, you're voting for Starmer. And the fact that Galloway has split the Labour vote makes things even scarier about doing anything other than voting for the Tories or Reform. If you vote for Reform, or you vote for the incredibly, almost too beautiful to look at Lois Perry, who will be running UKIP soon,
hopefully.
You're still taking a vote away from Rishi and giving it to somebody else who, because of our first past the post system, is not going to get there.
But see, I think why 2 votes Tice will do better this time is because bluntly, everybody knows the Conservatives are going to lose anyway, so this is an opportunity to vote with your conscience. Anyway, Dr. Roger Gewolb, thank you so much. He's a geopolitics and geoeconomic expert.
Thanks,
We'll be
Roger.
back